first edition of Cool Cars and Interesting People. I'm Mark Campbell. We're going to be looking at very, very cool cars around southern Alberta and talk to very, very interesting people. First off, we're going to talk to Ron Sakamoto. Everybody knows Ron. We'll get to him in a second. But first off, the cool car. This is a 2016 Nissan Maxima from McDonald Nissan. It is the Platinum Edition, and we have right over here Rob Thompson. He's going to tell us a little bit about some of the great features that we have here. Why is this a Platinum, first off?
Well, a lot of the features that come along with this car, Mark, give it its Platinum status. The safety shield technologies from Nissan Canada, the sunroof, the interior, the gorgeous interior, the leather, and a lot of really nice features which we can go through.
Let's get to this fob feature, which I think is really cool.
Okay, you bet. So you have your remote entry. Okay, so all you do, this has to be on your person. You walk up to the vehicle, touch the button on the door here. Once unlocks the driver's door, second time is going to unlock all four doors in the vehicle.
Cool.
Okay. Taking you inside the vehicle. So once you've entered the vehicle, you can adjust your seat, your steering wheel, which is a powered tilt and telescopic steering wheel. You can adjust your outside mirrors. You can then set your seat memory system. You can adjust it so that every time you're going in and out of the vehicle, it's going to remember your settings.
So a guy who's short with stubby legs, it'll fit for me every time.
Absolutely. It's going to lift the steering wheel up, to move the seat back, and then let you out of the vehicle. No problem.
Now the one thing, this is known as a sports car, but it's a four-door, which is kind of cool, and still has a lot of power, right?
Absolutely. Nissan's 3.5 liter V6,
yeah.
300 horsepower, lots of performance and lots of comfort to go along with it.
All right, let's take this out and go find Ron. Here's hoping he's here. Ron Sakamoto.
Hey Mark, how are you?
Are you ready for some coffee, or I know you do tea, right?
Sure, anything.
Let's go for tea. We got a place over at Mocha Cabana. You ready?
Awesome, let me get my coat.
Grab your coat. Okay. Let's go to the cars.
Okay.
2016
Woo!
Nissan Maxima.
Wow,
It's a sports car, four-door.
pretty awesome. That's great. Thanks, Mark. Holy cow, that ever nice.
So, Ron, you know what? My first memory of you is getting a phone call when I was still working at the old 1090 Check, and you phoned me up and said, "Hey, Mark, do you think the Doobie Brothers would do well here?" Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I said, "Yeah." And then so they did. You brought them in, the Doobie Brothers. That goes back, I think, 76, 77, somewhere in there?
Somewhere there, yeah.
They were just coming up on doing Blackwater, I think, was their big hit.
That's right.
So was that a big gamble for you back then?
Well, you know, Mark, when I phoned everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people didn't believe me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the Doobie Brothers were huge.
Yeah.
And so they said, "Oh, Ron, you're not going to get into Lethbridge." And the Sportsplex at that time was just being finished, right?
Right.
And so I said, "Okay, fine. I'll take a gamble." It was a gamble,
Right.
Because there were a lot of money, and so you know, I did bring them, and it's really funny because I said that they were coming, and the tickets were on sale, But people would stop me on the street and say, "Ron, you're not bringing them here."
It's not the real Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, right. It's not the real Doobie Brothers. No, honestly, it was like crazy. People didn't believe me that they were coming to Lethbridge, and it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And it sold out, of course. It sold out, and until they got here, some people were skeptical until the day they got here. It's unbelievable. But that was my start of bigger groups. That's why.
Yeah, and then you can go down the list of bigger groups like we think of Kiss.
Kiss
was huge. The Bee Gees, for heaven's sake, I can't believe they brought the Bee Gees in, and that was the opening act was Heart.
That's right.
And a lot of rock and roll shows. That was. Let's before we get to that, let's go back. What got you into the whole rock and roll thing?
Well, I played hockey. I started playing hockey. I was 15 and 16, and we were playing at the Calgary Corral against the Calgary Buffaloes. Yeah. And I played for Medicine Hat, and I was too small. I got really, really hurt there. Ended up in the hospital.
Did you really? Oh my!
So, yeah, the big white guys killed me. So I said, what am I doing? Anyway, I was 16 at the time, and so I was in high school, and then when I was 17, but at that time when I was in the hospital, I saw a Dick Clark's bandstand show, right? And all these girls dancing and the go-go girls. And I thought, wow, that'd be kind of neat for Medicine Hat. We didn't have a dance club. We didn't have anything. And so that stayed in mind in my mind for a while. And I thought, I wonder if that would work. So I asked my parents. I mean, I didn't have any money. And they didn't know anything about music. They're farmers, right? So, not that farmers don't know anything about music, but, it was really different.
Yeah. And
so I pursued it. I went to see the mayor. The mayor was Harry Viner at the time. And he was kind of a mentor from then on because, here's this kid coming in, and he was an unbelievable businessman. I mean, he owned the brick and tile, hat hardware, name it, and he owned it. And I told him what I would like to do, start a go-go club. And he says, really? And he used to have dance contests, and he used to race horses. I mean, he used to, as a matter of fact, he went and had a sugarcane cutting contest with Fidel Castro in Cuba, and he beat him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Fidel, I remember Fidel sent him a big box of cigars because that was the prize, and Harry didn't smoke. Mr. Viner didn't smoke, so he'd give all the cigars out to the Medicine Hat people, and it was just amazing. But he was an amazing mayor, and so then he told me what to do and how to do it, and because I knew really nothing about business at that time, right? And he just kind of liked my gumption, and he liked my idea because being mayor, they needed something for the young people to do in Medicine Hat. So he figured that if I would do it, and he'd help me, that it would get the young people off the streets.
What did he do with the cigars?
He'd give them away.
He did?
He'd give them away to the people. Yeah, it was crazy. And so he had an old bowling alley that he owned, and it wasn't running anymore, so he gave me that place to fix up, and he said, listen, if you make money, you pay me. If you don't make money, you don't.
Jeez.
And he owned 2 or 3 hotels, and so he said, go to the back, because they used to throw away the tables and chairs. He said, go there and fix those up, and put a tablecloth over the top, and that'll cost you hardly nothing.
Yeah.
Paint the floor, he said. Just paint the floor. It'll only take you a few cans of paint. Paint the floor, paint the walls. And I did it, and so then he said, black light it. I said, what is that? He said, so it was fluorescent lighting, right? And then I painted great big honeybees and honeycomb, because I called the club the Honeycomb, right? And it was all fluorescent paint, and when the black light hit it, it all shone, right?
Wow.
It was amazing, and it cost me about $25 or something, right? And it was all done on the cheap. And so we built a permanent stage, got, you know, secondhand wood and everything else. He supplied a lot of it. And we built the stage and 2 cages. I put my go-go girls. And so that's how we started.
Wow.
I was 17 when we finished.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, you come to the city council meeting and you challenge me to have a go-go contest, dance contest with your girls. And I will make sure that all the aldermen are there too. And the TV cameras and the radio stations and the newspapers. And so that's what we did. And it was all over the place. And that just, he said, you know what that means? That means that we are supporting you, Ron. That me as a mayor and the aldermen and the older people are supporting you for this teen club. And it just took off.
Wow.
It just took off. And that's, I'll tell you, learning from him, it was amazing.
So how did you get to Lethbridge? What got you to Lethbridge?
Well, what got me to Lethbridge is I was thinking one night, and he says, you know, Ron, he told me, he said, you know, Ron, if you had 2, it would be easier for you. Because when I have business here, you know, I bought 2 hotels. I bought this, I bought that. He says, the more you accumulate, the easier it gets. And I said, really? And so I thought about it, and I said, you know what, he's right. Because if I buy a band for 2 nights, they're a lot cheaper than if I buy them for 1. So I could put them in Lethbridge one night and Medicine Hat the next. I put the one on Friday in Medicine Hat and bring them to Lethbridge on Saturday. So I switch. So I buy 2 bands, and I can buy them half the price as one night to Medicine Hat. So that's why I came to Lethbridge.
So you're part Jewish.
That's why I named my company Golden Gold Productions.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, that's why I came to Lethbridge. I took over the Henderson Lake.
Right. The old
Call
dance.
it the Ron Sakamoto Varsity Club.
Right.
Funny name, but anyway, and that's why I started, you know, that here.
Yeah.
And I had hired a manager in Medicine Hat because it was already running. This one wasn't, and so then we had 2 clubs going.
And it worked?
And it worked.
Yeah.
Until many years down the road, the bands started getting bigger.
More expensive?
And more expensive.
Right.
And I knew then that I would have to go to bigger venues to accommodate, and you know, for the ticket sales, right? Because accommodate the salary raise. Because all of a sudden they went from $50 or $100 a night to $500, $1,000.
Yeah. So who was the first band you remember bringing in that was sort of that next level of entertainer?
The first band, well, the first band I ever brought here in the next level was the Doobie Brothers. They were the first.
That was back in the 70s, yeah.
That's right. They were the first.
Yeah. And then, because I certainly remember the Canadian bands you'd bring in, Lighthouse, Stampeders, April Wine. Of course, there's the April Wine story of the biggest attendance ever at the NMAX because you weren't allowed to bring in any more, and you could have, right? Remember that night?
Oh. You know,
7,200 people.
7,200.
Yeah.
Still hold the record.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
because
you can't.
Well, no, they cut it back.
Yeah, you can't let that many in. The fire people will say you can't do that.
No, it was, well, you know, they were so popular,
Yeah.
and we had sold the tickets, and in those days the people would buy tickets at the door. You didn't know how many were coming at the door, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was a lineup like blocks.
Yeah.
And so we got 3,000 in, 4,000 in, 5,000 in, 6,000.
Cha-ching,
So,
cha-ching, cha-ching.
and there still was a lineup.
Yeah.
And well, then there's fire marshals, you know. They came, and I think I had 7,000 in at that time, and it was getting like really packed.
Yeah.
And so they said, Ron, you've got to cut this.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's let these people in. And then we cut the line, and there's still at least a line of people.
Wow.
They couldn't get in.
Right.
So we cut it off at 7,200. Now they came in the building, they thought, wow, how many people's in here, you know? I said, well, I don't know. Anyway, they said, I think you got too much.
Yeah.
I said, well, what are you going to do? I can't kick them out now.
Yeah.
But, you know, they had such a great time. It was amazing because it seemed like everybody was having just a blast. You know, I know it's crowded, but it was just crowded and sweaty, and they're dancing and amazing. They're just having a great time.
Yeah.
And everybody at the farm market, they're just walking around saying, "Wow, this is actually pretty good." But we're going to make a assessment of what you can put in now.
Yeah. The Ron Sakamoto rule.
Yeah. So now that's right. I still hold the record.
Yeah, and it'll never be
broken. Never be broken.
Yeah. You can't go that far.
Can't go that far. But that was amazing, and yeah, we did some great shows. I had some great Canadian groups, and great American groups. I mean, Bee Gees.
Yeah, I actually would like to talk about the Bee Gees because they were one of the best shows I've ever seen. I remember that. I mean, you obviously have met so many great people in the years. What were the brothers Gibb like?
They were awesome. You know, the first time we met Robert Stigwood and the Bee Gees, we toured them across Canada, so it was in Toronto.
Yeah.
And Michael Cole and I were partners, the world famous Michael Cole, Donald K. Donald. And they were just really down to earth, great people, and talented.
Yeah.
Robert Stigwood, of course, he's legendary, and it was just just amazing. They're just amazing guys, and
yeah.
it was, and then you see him on television, then you see him in movies, then you see him say, well, shit, I was there, I was right there with them in Calgary and Lethbridge, and I mean, it's like surreal, but. They're just ordinary people.
Is that? I mean, getting into the business. I mean, you were you were a businessman first, but when you see a guy now you're dealing with Keith Urban and Shania. Did you ever get starstruck? Does that ever happen to you? Or I mean, not now, I'm sure, but was there a time when you would? Because for me, if it was anybody, like I'm meeting whoever, Paul McCartney, I would just go, but I mean, I guess over time, you just figure it's a human being. We got to talk. Let's just do this. Did you ever have any issues with that?
I think when I got started, absolutely, I did. I mean, I remember Rod Stewart when I first did Rod Stewart 35, 40 years ago. I mean, he was pretty big, and I just did Rod Stewart last year at an outdoor show in Newfoundland.
Oh, well, yeah, a huge show, yeah.
And so he said, Ron, you've been, doing shows a long time, and I said, well, so have you. So we had a great chat, and it's just, he's, I don't know, just the same now as he was before, but yeah, absolutely. When I getting started, absolutely, you get a little starstruck, and you kind of shy away in your corner. You don't want to, just in case they don't want to talk to you. But you're the promoter and putting up all the money. But still, you kind of feel, wow, because you see him on television, you see him in the movies. But here you are, and being able to, they have the faith in you to promote them and produce their shows. And so then after that, as it, the years grew on, you get to know all the agents and managers and whoever, and so it gets easier and easier, and so really you find out that they're just ordinary people. Most of them are ordinary people. Now there's some real jerks, but there's some real jerks in any business.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in the entertainment business to be jerks.
No. You predominantly are doing country now, right? Is that fair to say? Although you did Rod Stewart, I think you did McCartney a few years back, right?
Yeah, but
predominantly country.
Well,
was there a conscious decision to go country?
Well, I guess the decision was made, I had to be 20 some years ago, where I used to do all rock, and then it went to disco, and then disco was, kind of faded out, and then it went to rap.
You went to rap?
No, I didn't.
No.
No, it went to rap, and I said,
Ron Sakamoto.
Well, yeah, I couldn't get my head around it, and I couldn't bring myself to bring, those kind of groups, and make money off of those kind of groups, because they just weren't You know, I'm not a Bible pusher or anything, but I'm just, you know, I just couldn't do it.
What did you think?
And that's when I went to country. And that's when people said, you know, I don't think you're going to make it in country, because country really at that time wasn't really big. And then the people like, you know, the Garth Brookses, the Rebas, who was a star? Dwight Yoakams.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that started this new country.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just twang anymore. It was.
Yeah, it crossed over to a great extent.
Over.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
Vince Gills.
Yeah.
And so, all of a sudden, the nitty-gritty dirt bands. All of a sudden, wow, country was drying, because it was like the rock of the '50s. Country was, you know, was really like starting to drown.
Yeah.
And I had all these groups already. I went to Nashville and locked up all these groups. And now Sakamoto's a genius, because he's got them all. I really wasn't. I just wanted to go into country.
Timing.
And it was all timing.
Yeah.
It's just all timing. And all of a sudden I had everybody.
Yeah. I have to ask you, because I'm such a huge Paul McCartney fan, because you got to meet and talk with Paul. Take me through that. Was he a good God?
Yeah,
and he talked to you, hey, Ron, how's it going? You know?
That's about it. Because you know, really.
Yeah.
There's really nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
He's just another guy, another Beatle.
Just another guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you know, what do you say? I mean, whether it be Keith or Shania or I mean, they're all superstars.
Yeah.
Whether it be Taylor Swift or I remember Taylor Swift coming to Lethbridge and opening up for Brad Paisley.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she crossed over, and I mean, you know, I remember her telling me on that tour, she said, Ron, I can't get arrested. I can't get a recording contract. I can't get anything. Her mom and dad were telling me this.
Wow.
Well, look at her now.
Unbelievable.
And you know, those are stories that amazing. I mean, I think she, how old was she, 17 at the time? Something like that, but maybe she was just too young. She was a great writer, and she couldn't get a recording contract at that time, and she didn't. She got an independent label.
Wow.
She didn't get on a major label. She got on an independent label, and did it from there.
Unbelievable.
Now the major labels are kicking their butt, but you know, I mean, those are things those are stories, right? That they didn't believe in her.
So if you're looking back, I mean, you've had what is it? It's like a 50-year career now in promoting. And is there, if you sit back and you grab one of those Cuban cigars from the mayor from Havana, and you think, wow, that was one of the best moments of my life in this business. Can you think of one or two?
You know what, Mark? There's been so many great moments. Really have, you know, great moments. I guess great moments is when I got married to Joyce. Great moments is when I finally saw my kids graduate from university. Great moments is when Sean,
Your son.
my son, got into the business. Great moments when you know, you get, I guess, asked to come, and George Strait, when he got put in the Hall of Fame, I was asked to come to his induction.
Wow.
And I was the only promoter asked.
Wow. Holy
And
cow.
I'm sitting with George's family.
That's pretty special.
You know, those kind of moments.
Yeah.
And when I was on the board of directors of the CMA in Nashville, just being backstage with all the artists and knowing them all.
And they all come up to you with respect, which is something that you didn't initially earn, you know, back in Medicine Hat. You had to earn that all these years.
You know, and you don't realize it until all of a sudden, you know, you're down there, and everybody's there, right? And everybody, wow, like when Joyce would say, wow, Ron, you know, they really are your friends.
Wow. That's pretty nice. Pretty cool.
You know what? It's like I said, they're ordinary people, but not ordinary people. They're ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Yeah.
You know, with a gift from God that they have this voice or the power to react with people the way they do, and interact with people the way they do, and you know, it's a gift. But you know, a lot of other people have gifts too. I mean, I know I can be a great promoter, but I can't be a great welder. I can't be a great plumber. I don't know what I'm doing, and they're just as important.
Yeah.
So you know, when you look at it that way, when everybody has their direction in life and their field, and they do the best they can there, and they're well respected, you know, it's the same thing, except there's not as many people doing what I do, because it's, first of all, hard. It's hard to be away from home a month at a time.
Yep.
It's hard to give up watching your kids grow. It's hard to give up a lot of things that you can't be, you know, with your friends and play golf because you're in Halifax doing a show. And it's, I guess that's the reason why I really like Lethbridge, because I get so much of the big cities. I had, you know, being on tour and doing shows there, that when I come back home, that it gets my feet grounded, and I can just relax, and it doesn't take me 2 hours on the highway to get from Toronto to Hamilton.
Yeah.
Because there's an accident.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you know, and it's just so nice to come home and just relax and meet my friends, and you know, but being out there that long all the times, you know, you had to sacrifice a lot, and you know, Joyce, you had to have a special wife, special person to understand that, because you know, if they don't, it's never going to work, right?
Is there one act that you've never gotten that you just are kind of hoping you can get down the road, or have you got them all?
No, I don't have them all. You know,
is there someone you're kind of hoping for?
I don't think I'm hoping for, but you know, there's an act that I really would like to do, but I mean, I don't think I'll ever do, is Celine Dion.
Really?
I'd really like to. I'd really like to give her, you know, be able to produce.
Celine, a bit of a surprise. Celine, come on in.
You know, she's amazing.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
Well,
I've done.
The only thing that someone has to say to you is, you'll never bring Celine Dion to Canada, and then we'll see that happen in a couple of years.
Well, you know what? You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, I remember Barbra Streisand was my wife's favorite act, and she did come to Canada, to Toronto, and El Diva was opening.
Right.
And so I flew her to Toronto, took her to. That was a bucket list.
Okay. Did you pay for the ticket?
I paid for the ticket.
You didn't have connections?
I lied. I phoned the manager there at Canada Center. Said, "Hey,
Sakamoto,
yeah,
get me tickets for my wife, you bastard."
Right, that's right. We had great seats right by the stage. It was it was great. But that was a bucket list. We stayed at the Royal York, walked underneath the tunnel, went to the, you know, and. It was an amazing show.
Yeah.
An amazing show.
And again, happy wife, great
happy
life.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, Ron, that's been outstanding. Thank you so much for being our first guest in you know, Cool Cars and Interesting People. Do you think you'll teach me to yodel now?
Well, you know what, Mark, I can try.
Yeah.
It took me 4 years to learn how to yodel.
Because you are the best yodeler I've ever heard.
Well, it took me 4 years to learn.
Okay.
You know, nobody said that I could yodel. And I said, you know what, I'm going to learn how. And I did.
So what's the trick?
You know what? Perseverance is a trick. He's got it. He's got it. He knows how to yodel. There you go, Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Sakamoto.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.